Hello, Clarice, and welcome to Flyover Film Country.
Gosh, I loved that. I loved that.
Thank you. I'm glad you appreciated that. Like, as soon as he said hello, Clarice, when I watched this movie last night,
Yeah.
I was like, this is how we have to open the episode. So I'm glad that you were on board with it. All right.
Yeah.
Well, Walker, what's up, man?
Not a lot. I won a game of Fortnite right before getting on we're recording at 9.
Hey, let's give it up for Walker.
Yeah, let's give it up for me. Fortnite dub.
Yeah. Crushing it in Fortnite.
Yep. It was awesome.
So.
But yeah, that's pretty much the most exciting thing that's happened to me recently.
Nice.
What about
All right.
you, Olivia? How
Cool.
are you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited to be here and talk to you today. We're talking about Silence of the Lambs.
Man.
And this is one of my favorite movies of all time. I genuinely love this movie so much, so I'm so excited that we're talking about it. And I want to point out, before we get into anything, I want to point out my sweatshirt. It says Buffalo Bills body lotion. And then at the bottom it says it rubs the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again. So my mom has this exact same sweatshirt, and sometimes I'll help her, like at Halloween, I'll help her pass out candy.
Yeah.
And so we will both be wearing these sweatshirts. So this movie means a lot to both my mom and me. And so I'm very excited to talk about it. But before we get into it, we want to circle back to Send Help.
Yeah, I was thinking about Send Help today, number one, because I went on our great YouTube channel and saw that our Send Help episode got 50 views. I was like, hell yeah, let's
Sick.
go.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then someone sent it in our Instagram group chat that in the 3 weeks that Send Help has been out, it has had only a 1% drop off from opening weekend in terms of revenue. And that's so
that's awesome.
You know, if you listen to that episode, Isaac and I were talking about how we thought that could be a possibility because the word of mouth would be so good from this movie. And it has been, and it's awesome. And Olivia, you were on that episode, and you have seen Send Help since.
Bummed. Yes.
So I would love for you to get to talk about it for a minute.
I went and saw it with my friends Madeline and Faith.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out Madeline and Faith, who I've talked about my AMC Stubs like A-list thing with them so much. They both recently got on board with that. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
But I saw Send Help. It was awesome. I saw it on a Friday night. It was a pretty crowded theater. I actually ran into a different friend of mine that I hadn't seen in a while, so it was cool to see him there. And this was such a good movie. I know it's early in the year, but it very well may end up in my top 10.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah.
If it ends up out of my top 10, it is an amazing year for movies. Like,
sure. Yeah. Which it very well could be an amazing year for movies. I'm excited for this year. I'm excited for what's coming up. But Send Help was so good. Rachel McAdams, truly, I think Rachel McAdams is honestly really underappreciated as an actress.
Yeah.
I think she is so good. She can do a really serious role. She can do a really good comedic role.
Yeah.
I think people forget how good she is as Regina George in Mean Girls.
Yeah.
And she's so good in Game Night. And of course, everyone knows her from The Notebook. And she's in Wedding Crash. She's been in so many things. The Family Stone. Like she just has a great filmography. And I love that Sam Raimi, after working with her in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, was like, I want to work with her again.
Yeah.
Because of the way she was in that. And I know you guys referenced that too in the episode that you guys did over this movie. But she's so good. And what I thought was interesting was her character. You feel sorry for her character, but also we all know someone like this who's just like, man, they're just so hard to like and want to include and invite and things. But you know that you should probably do it because you might end up on a deserted island with them and they might kill you. So, all I'm saying.
Yeah, this Send Help's so good, and it hits harder for me now. I had I work remotely, and I had a work retreat last week, And so like being with my coworkers in person and just like remembering what it's like to kind of like work in an environment like in an office environment again for a couple of days, it made Sid Help hit a little harder retrospectively. So
Yeah. So she's great at Dylan O'Brien is really great in it. Like you guys pointed this out too, of like we all know someone like that. He actually reminded me of this kid I went to school with in the 9th grade. Like this guy was so annoying. He was on what was that show? The Nanny. It was where like a British nanny came in and like
Super Nanny or something.
Super Nanny, yeah. That guy was on that show because he was such a freaking brat.
That's crazy.
And he I don't know, he just reminded me of the character Dylan O'Brien played. Like that's just what that character reminded me of. Anyway, so yeah, we all know someone like exactly like these characters. They are not, well, yes, they are kind of exaggerated. They're really not.
Yeah.
They're very, very realistic. Anyway, had a great time. There were some jump scares that got me, especially I don't know if it was the second one. I think it was the last one where or Rachel McAdams is dreaming.
Oh, yeah.
That one really got me. But all in all, loved it.
Also, like, probably the most Sam Raimi moment of the entire movie that there could have possibly been. Like,
I had that thought too. I was like, there it is. There's Sam Raimi. There he is. So I was also surprised by how funny it was.
It was so funny.
It was good. There was a good crowd. Everyone was like in it, and that was really fun. My friends that I went to see it with, they were like, this was amazing. This was such a great movie. So yeah, great time.
Yeah, it's really honestly encouraging. I feel like recently there's been so many times where we've all gone and seen a movie and been like, it's been such a great crowd to see a movie. I feel like we're kind of back after COVID now with like, people understand what you can and can't do at the movies now and like what's fun and not fun, you know? And so I feel like we're at that point now where it's like, there's a lot of really fun movies to go see with people.
I will say, this had nothing to do with the movie. It had it had everything to do with the lady that was sitting next to me. A fully grown adult woman, like in her 50s. This lady was on Facebook checking, and I kept side-eyeing her. I wasn't even side-eye. I know. You saying that reminded me of it. Like I looked at her, and at one point I really was like, do I say something? And I was like, is it worth it? I don't know. But I kept going.
Yeah.
To her every time she got her phone out, she was not picking up the message, and that's on me for not being more direct.
That's crazy. So, that makes me think of this that's so silly. One time Savannah and I were seeing a movie, and we saw someone, I'm not kidding, scroll on the McDonald's app for like 30 minutes in the middle of the movie.
What?
They're just like scrolling around, they're clicking on stuff, I guess reading the nutrition facts. Like they were on the McDonald's app for a long time in the middle of the movie.
Okay.
But okay,
Man.
Transition. So you said that Send Help was a lot funnier than you thought it'd be. I have to be honest. Silence of the Lambs got me a few times last night watching it. Made me laugh out loud.
It's like funnier. It's funnier than it should be.
Yeah.
It has no business being this funny.
Yes, totally. Like the one thing that's been sticking in my mind that like I can't stop saying, and it made me laugh so hard because it's like such a serious moment. It's towards the end of the movie, and like I mean, I guess spoiler alert for a movie that came out in 1991, but like
35 years ago.
Yeah.
35 years ago. That's one of the reasons we're doing this movie is because it is the 35th anniversary. It came out on Valentine's Day, 1991.
But that's pretty awesome. I didn't know that.
Which is one of the reasons we're doing it in February is because it's like around that time.
Yeah.
Man, could you imagine going to see this movie on Valentine's Day? God, that's true love.
That would be true love. I think you're bonded for life at that point.
Yeah.
But when Clarice is at Buffalo Bill's house and talking to him, and she's asking if he knew the first victim, and he's like, no. And then he's like, oh, wait. Is she a great big fat person? died laughing. Like, it's so funny and so weird and dark as well. Like, it just got me really good.
Yeah, no. I also, it's funny that you brought that up because I also laughed at that point. I was like, this is ridiculous. And in some ways, because they talk about how fat all the victims are, and I'm just like, that's about the size I am. That makes me feel really good. Like, and because they keep talking about it, my mom and I have talked. I was with my mom earlier today. Or like, I had dinner with her tonight, and I was telling her we were doing this, and she goes, I can't listen to American Girl by Tom Petty if I'm by myself alone at night. I can't do it. And she's like, also, that's me. Like, they're talking about me in that movie. I'm like, they're not talking about you, Mom. Like, oh, yeah. But I get it. Like, it's just like, most of the time, because I'm a tall woman, I'm not an easy. I've always been like, I'm not an easy target. They're not gonna try to get me.
Yeah.
But then in watching this movie, I'm like, well, I guess they might.
You're like, maybe if there's a serial killer who has a specific experience with a woman that's also tall.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. They have a ginger fetish. Oh no. So, anyway, but yes, I thought that was really funny. That he was just like, was she that fat chick?
Yeah. Well, and there's so many layers because it's like he does know her. Like, he knows who she's talking about. And that's the one thing that he's like, if I kind of knew this person, this is the one thing I would remember about her. But yeah, it's ridiculous. And you're right that they kept talking about how big all the people were. And Savannah and the women and Savannah were like, these women just look normal. Like,
these are normal sized women. But also, it was 91.
Yeah.
They probably filmed this in 89 or 90. And so, like, it's very much a product of its time in that sense. But I think also it's a pretty timeless movie. And so, so Walker, like, how many times have you seen this movie? What was the first time how old were you the first time you watched it? Because I have a very specific memory the first time I watched it.
So I saw this movie for the first time when I was older, because I don't know if I've ever talked about this on the podcast. Growing up, my parents were pastors. Like, you know, as I got older, my parents changed, and they've changed a lot now. But like when I was younger, specifically, like, we did not watch anything. Like, this movie would have never been on at our house ever. And my mom like hates anything scary a little bit still to this day. So I didn't see this movie till I was in college. For the first time.
I also saw this in college.
Yeah, and I watched it with Savannah's family. I remember watching it. I'm pretty sure at their Monticello. Which a lot of scary movies, the first time I watched them is with Savannah's family.
That's
in
amazing.
their game room. Yeah, like Hereditary. The first time I ever saw that was at Savannah's parents' house with her family.
I've never seen that, but what I know about it, what a wild movie to watch as a family.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Did everyone go, are we okay? Do we need to do like some family therapy real quick? Like,
I think we all quietly shuffled to bed.
Sure. No need to dissect that. We got it.
Yeah.
Moving on.
But yeah, so this was my third time watching it. I'd seen it twice before this, and shout out to Olivia too for giving me her AMC Plus, so I could watch it legally.
That's right.
But okay, so you have a specific memory about the first time you watched it?
Yeah. So the first time I watched this, I was also in college. I was a 19-year-old freshman, and so, you know, as someone who lives in Conway, there are 3 colleges, and so I went to UCA, and my best friend from high school went to CBC. She went to Central Baptist College. And so she and I, we spent a lot of time together our freshman year, but as we progressed throughout college, we got more involved in everything. So this was our freshman year of college, and she invited me over. She was like, have you ever seen Silence of the Lambs? I was like, I haven't. She was like, let's watch it. And so we watched it in her dorm room. It's just us. She lived by herself, and so she had a room to herself. So it's just us watching this movie. And she like pulls out her like sketchbook, because we both like to draw, and so she pulled out her sketchbook, and she goes, I don't know what it is about this movie. I just draw better things whenever I watch this movie. And so I've watched it a lot. Yeah. And the irony of all of that is she's now a licensed social worker, and I'm now a licensed therapist. And I don't know what to make of that. You read into that what you want to. But I think it's so funny that that's like what she said. And so I'll always remember she's like, I just draw better when I watch this terrifying movie.
That's so
And
funny.
yeah, but that was the very first time. So I was 19, and I've seen it probably 3 or 4 times since
Mhm.
then, including last night when I watched it in preparation for this episode. So I very much enjoyed this movie. Like I said at the top of the
Yeah.
episode, this is really one of my favorite movies. I
Yeah.
think it is such a well-made film. I think everyone's acting is great. Yeah, so we talked about like this movie is funnier than it should be,
Yeah.
but what else sticks out to you about this movie? Why do you think this movie has become so prolific? Because it's referenced all the time
Yeah.
in TV shows, other movies.
Yeah.
It's very much become a cultural phenomenon.
Right. I think so I really love this movie too. Like, I think watching it again last night, I think I appreciated a lot about it more than I had the past couple times, the first 2 times I watched it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of this movie that's just so well done. But I think the best thing and the reason it has stood the test of time and will continue is because the characters in this movie are just so damn interesting. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like, Hannibal Lecter is like such an interesting idea of like a
Mm-hmm.
character, and then the performance of him also too is so iconic and so good and so interesting. It's just perfect. It's perfect. It's like, I would venture to say, like, almost since this movie, any serial killer that has been on screen has a little Hannibal Lecter in them,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
it's just such a good character and so iconic. And then you have Clarice, and it's just like this unique, like, Jodie Foster's voice is just so unique and interesting,
Mm-hmm.
and like you
Mm-hmm.
can't, her juxtaposed to Hannibal Lecter is so good, and
Mm-hmm.
then Buffalo Bill is so weird and
Yeah.
odd, and his voice is strange too in different points and sounds different, and yeah, I think there's just so much about this film that's so well done, and I know we'll talk about it, but I think the characters are the thing that
Yeah.
makes it so good, just takes it next level.
I agree. I agree with you 100%. Again, my mom and I were talking about it. I told her that we were recording over it today,
Mhm.
and she was just like, Ted Levine, who plays Buffalo Bill,
Yeah.
he plays this character so well and is so scary
Yeah.
as this character that to this day, anytime he shows up in something, my mom's like my mom gets scared.
Yeah.
Even if he's like playing like a normal character, which I
Yeah.
actually really don't know how often he's doing that.
Right.
But that's how well he plays this. And
Yeah.
I remember my AP Psych teacher in high school we were talking about personality disorders
Mhm.
and so of course this is like easy to talk about.
Yeah.
Hannibal Lecter and like is he crazy? Like what's his deal?
Yeah.
And how my psychology teacher in high school was like, some people thought Anthony Hopkins was like actually meeting criteria for
Right.
Antisocial personality disorder because of how well he plays this character.
Yeah.
And how like scary he is.
Yeah.
And so it's really interesting. And I think this is the first time I've watched it since becoming a licensed therapist. I think I watched it as a candidate, but just watching it post 2 psychology degrees is
Right.
always really interesting because I'm just thinking through all the different things that go into it.
Yeah.
Go into the psychology and the characterization of these people and what it means and what goes into all of that. So of course I was trying not to psychoanalyze, but like the whole film is to like psychoanalyze
Right.
all of the characters and how they got here.
Yeah.
So yeah, the characters are fascinating, and we see them referenced, especially Hannibal Lecter referenced all
Yeah.
the time, and his character is so interesting that we've gotten so many different iterations of him, including
Yeah.
Mads Mikkelsen playing Hannibal in the show Hannibal,
Right.
which I've never seen, but I've heard from several people it's really good.
Yeah, I haven't
and
seen it either.
honestly kind of scary. One of my friends actually sent me a clip today from the show, and it's just kind of he's unnerving. I
Yeah.
mean, but because he plays it so, and that's the thing about Hannibal is he is so kind of poised and posh.
Yeah.
and very articulate and well spoken and like all the things, which I think makes him so scary, which I think goes back to what you were saying earlier of, you know, a lot of serial killers that we see depicted in shows and in movies have a little bit of Hannibal, because I think really since this movie has come out, anytime there's a serial killer, they're very focused and strategic and very like organized in a way that I don't know if we were really seeing before.
Yeah.
They seemed kind of chaotic, kind of like Buffalo Bill in a sense.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think this movie definitely has to get credit for that. And also like the focusing on the like behavioral kind of analysis part of the FBI is super interesting, because it's like we've had, you know, Criminal Minds like has done that and had, I mean, who knows how many episodes that freaking show has at this point.
Well, they had like, hold on, I'll actually look it up while you're talking.
Yeah. But so Criminal Minds, and then we have Mindhunter. That was like a great show that Netflix canceled way too early. But it's like this movie is kind of the start of, I feel like, that becoming, you know, something that people even know about or people talk about and think about. And so that's really cool. And this movie just has so much cool stuff. I think too, gosh, like the script for this movie is so smart and so good in some of the way that it's written. I think you see that especially right in the beginning of the movie, like immediately in the beginning of the movie, having Clarice like kind of doing this training alone by herself, immediately kind of like establishing like, oh, she's a little bit of a loner, like she's doing her own thing. And then also immediately establishing once she goes in the building, like, yeah, and she's also like one of the only women in this place, you know, like the shot of her getting in the elevator and it's like 10 dudes that are all 6 inches taller than her and her.
Right.
And it's just like, they knew what they were doing right from the start. And there's so many moments of that throughout this movie where they just are so smart about how they show you things to, you know, instead of telling you.
So there are Criminal Minds, going back to that.
Yeah.
There are 354 episodes that have been released.
My gosh.
They're currently working on season 19. Now, I think it was on, and so it started airing, I think, in 2005, I believe. Ran up to, from seasons 1 to 16 were on CBS, and then 17, 18, and 19, maybe 16, have all been, 2005 is when it aired for the first time. But the last few seasons have been on Paramount Plus.
Okay.
So, anyway, but yes, like this movie has inspired a lot of shows like Criminal Minds, like Mindhunter, because it's fascinating to think through, like, how does the FBI do this stuff?
Yeah.
How do these agents go about working with the worst of the worst? Man, Mindhunter was such a good show. Man, Netflix really truly fumbled the bag. I think
too many.
If any network wants to pick up Mindhunter, HBO or Paramount, I think HBO should do it.
Yeah.
And I just, if someone wants to do it, I think there's a very large amount of people who would be so grateful.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I mean, that show is so good, and Netflix sucks.
Yes. Yeah, they do. They suck a lot. Anyway.
But yeah, I thought, so another thing that stuck out to me this time about this movie, and, you know, it's really interesting, just like the trends in movies, and like when you watch movies from different times, like you see, and so like in the 90s, you know, like lighting was all kind of like super natural. Like that's all they cared about, was looking as natural as possible. And even despite that, like the cinematography in this movie is noticeably like incredible. Like
Yeah.
the decisions they make so many times are just so good. Like specifically when Clarice and Hannibal Lecter first meet and it's super simple. They're just cutting back and forth, kind of close-ups of each of them. But Hannibal's is handheld, kind of like swaying side to side, and Clarice's is like locked off, like super still. And like even that little choice right there is like every time Hannibal's on screen, it's just a little bit more unease. Like you just feel that unease because of that. Like, you know, we're just kind of, it's like, but then you go back to Clarice and it's like she's super solid and she's like staying calm. And so it's locked off and we're like, okay, I'm good again. And then we cut back to him and it's like, oh, I'm so like creeped out and so many good choices.
And also, correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm misremembering this, when that scene is happening and it cuts to Hannibal, it's getting closer. It's like zooming in just a little bit, but noticeably enough.
Yeah.
That you're just like, you do feel unnerved. And I think that is such a smart way to film that scene in particular, because you know with Clarice you're meant to feel steady and feel secure.
Yeah.
And with him you're not, even though he is his voice isn't shaking and he's not scatterbrained or he's not fumbling over his words.
Yeah.
Clarice is trying to hold it all together, even though there's like a steady cam on her.
Right.
But not on him. And so it's an interesting juxtaposition between the camera angles and these characters and what they're presenting, and seeing the way that it just gives you so much character development and background without really telling you a whole lot.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the things that's so successful with this movie too, is because we really don't know a ton about what Hannibal Lecter did besides like, oh, he was a psychiatrist and he ate his patients, which is like, you know, that's a lot to deal with anyway. But we don't know any of the details whenever we first meet him. And yeah, it's like, so through the performance and through the cinematography and all these different things, they're able to really tell that story about him when we don't even really know that much. There's another time that sticks out too, whenever they're in Memphis, which like I have to say, I texted our group chat whenever I was watching this and said, no one in this movie had ever been to Memphis because these Southern accents are so like not Tennessee at all. Like it's like that, like it's like Andy in The Office when they're playing a murder in Savannah. Like that's what everyone was talking like.
Yeah.
But again, when Clarice is telling the story about the lambs, which another thing, sidebar real quick, Silence of the Lambs, such a good title. And I think it's a great example for people out there who are making movies. Like, don't name your movie just one word. Like, you know, I've done that a lot too because it's easier. But like, just go for it. Like, name it something sick like this. Because this movie, like, it doesn't have really anything to do with like the main plot of the movie, but it does have to do with something important in the movie, and it's awesome and it rules.
Well, and it's like, it highlights the relationship between Clarice and Hannibal, because she tells him this very scary story that she, like this experience that she had that was really terrifying to the 10-year-old version of herself.
Yeah.
And he remembers it. And it's crazy at the end of the movie when he calls her at the party where they're celebrating the capture of Buffalo Bill. And he says to her, "So tell me, Clarice, have the lambs gone quiet?" Or whatever he says, you know.
Yeah, stop screaming, I think.
Stop screaming. Yeah, have the lambs stop screaming. It's unnerving, but also it's like, wow, this guy remembered so much.
Yeah, totally. But so what I was going to say about the cinematography and that scene specifically was that they're cutting back and forth between them again. This time, instead of doing anything with the camera movement or anything, I don't remember anything with that. But I do remember, you know, in movies, a lot of times one of the things that's important for when lighting is to have like a light in someone's eye. So it's like if you're watching on YouTube, you can see like I have a light in my eye, you can see.
Yeah.
And Clarice has that, but when they cut back to Hannibal, he does not have one at all. And it's like, again, that just like, it's like such a little thing and it's like almost imperceptible, but it's like just immediately, like when you see her, you see a light in her eyes and like you see that like human side of her, she's telling the story, and then you cut back to him and like there's none of that there at all.
Right. Yeah.
And it's just so powerful for something, and it's such a small decision and such a small choice, and it just does so much.
The cinematographer for this film is Tak Fujimoto, who has done a lot of different things. Some of the things he's done that are probably more well-known and popular is he has done That Thing You Do, The Sixth Sense, Signs. He has done The Happening. He also did Philadelphia, The Devil in a Blue Dress. So, I mean, he's Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Pretty in Pink. He's done some big movies, really popular movies. And so this man was born in 1939 and still...
He's still alive?
He's still alive. He hasn't done anything. The last thing he did is a movie called God's Behaving Badly, which I have never heard of.
Yeah, I haven't either.
It's got Alicia Silverstone, Sharon Stone, Oliver Platt, Edie Falco. It's got a lot of people in it. John Turturro. Anyway, came out in 2013, but anyway,
so he's probably retired. Good for him.
He's probably retired, which makes sense. He earned it. He did some good work there. But yeah, and I think like that kind of stuff people don't think about, but that's the beauty of filmmaking, and when, especially if you are doing it well, is you're relaying all this information without ever saying anything. You know, they could have spent a 5-second scene where Clarice says the light is out of his eyes or something like that, and that would have been fine, but they show it to you instead of telling you, and I think that's what makes a film move from good to great. Is showing you instead of telling you.
This movie does such a good job of that. Like, you know, I even think about it's as something as simple as, you know, they don't say like, we're in the behavioral whatever analytics department of the FBI. It's like we see a sign that says that, and it's like, oh, that like, you know, even though it's so simple, it's like, well, that saved us time. It doesn't have to like, doesn't make us feel like you shoehorned it into some dialogue, so we knew where we were at.
Right. Yeah. So go ahead.
I was gonna say too, I think another thing that was interesting about this movie, and I had an interesting conversation with my friend Adam about this, and I think like because of because of Buffalo Bill and like who he is and maybe who he wants to be, you could say like this movie could have very easily aged super poorly and been like incredibly offensive. And there's obviously like language in it that is outdated now that like we just can't help because of when the movie was made. But I honestly was really shocked by the way that it felt like this movie handled the conversation of trans people. And because again, like it's a movie made in the 90s, and like we have this
early 90s,
early 90s, like you said, probably shot in the late 80s. And we have this character who is, you know, who Hannibal Lecter says in the movie, like, he is not a transgender person. Like, he just wants to be something, and he's trying to find that. And I'll want to talk about that. There's an interesting fact about that when we see Buffalo Bill's house, I'll talk about later. But I honestly was pleasantly surprised with some of the things. Like, Clarice instantly is like, you know, there's been a bunch of studies about this. Like, transgender people are not violent. They are just like normal people. Like, there's nothing suggesting there's studies like that. And I was like, wow, like, you know, it's crazy that it almost feels like we've regressed a little bit in
Sure,
how
yeah.
we do that, because this movie came out in the 90s and it felt like they handled it better than a lot of people do now.
You mean transgendered people are not trying to ruin girls' sports? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Shocking. I will not get started on a tangent. I won't do it. I won't do it. But I do agree with you that they talk about this very, I mean, taboo. I mean, it feels taboo now.
Yeah.
In some parts of the country, including where we live.
Yeah.
But it was especially taboo, 35 years ago when this movie came out. This was not something people were talking about on a large scale. I think like we had seen a lot of actors doing drag.
Mm-hmm.
Like we saw Mrs. Doubtfire as a popular one. This was not in the 90s, but Martin Lawrence did Big Mama's House.
Mm-hmm.
We saw Tu Wong Shu with, whoa, that's a long title, but Tu Wong Shu had Patrick Swayze and what are their names? Wesley Snipes and Diego. Is that his name, Diego? But they all dressed up in drag and were in drag this whole movie.
Yeah.
But no one was like talking about transgendered people like that. And so but yes, she does say, I mean, Clarice says like, people who are trans, they said transsexual, which was the term used at the time. And so transgender are not violent, which is continuing, like that is still true today. Yeah. And so
as much as people, specifically politicians, will tell you that is not true. And especially, sorry, I don't want to get this episode explicit, but I want to say a bad word to describe these people. But people like Steven Crowder and Ben Shapiro and that other Matt Walsh, I couldn't even remember his name because he's so irrelevant at this point. But as much as those people will tell you that they are not. And we even knew this in the 90s, and we know it still today. Right. And so that was something like it actually genuinely was like shocking to me because I just can't believe how far we've regressed in some ways. Sure.
Well, and like if they had been like, yeah, this is just how this group of people are. Yeah. In this movie, it would have been like, sure, it was 91. Yeah. Like that makes sense that they were thinking that, but no. And what's interesting is Ted Levine, who plays Buffalo Bill, was talking about how, I think recently, my mom was telling me about how she read an article recently how he wishes that they would have, like, even though he knew and Jonathan Demme knew, the director, knew that this character wasn't actually transgender and it really wasn't about this like gender dysphoria. Yeah. It was more about the fact that he had such great disdain for himself because of his trauma that he was wanting any reason to not be himself. Yeah. And so, and that's really different than what we see with transgendered people. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, it's definitely something they could have explored a little more in the movie with Buffalo Bill, but I think, then we would have seen Clarice and Hannibal Lecter less and blah, 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 and then you just go down. Right. So I was reading some trivia about this movie because I was like, okay, there has to be some interesting stuff about this movie, but there was something in particular too I wanted to look up because as we're watching the movie, we get in the end of it last night. At one point in the basement of Buffalo Bill's house, Clarice grabs this blanket and moves it, and Savannah and I both go, were those swastikas on that blanket? And oh no! And there were they? Yeah, there are two big orange swastikas on this quilt, and we're like, what the hell is going on? Yeah. So after the movie, I was like, there has to be like some sort of reason for that I just don't know. Sure, that feels and I've been too crazy. Yeah. And when we've been watching Mad Men, and, you know, Mad Men
Okay.
is about the 60s, and like so much stuff culturally that they put in that show, I have no clue what they're talking about. And so like we have to Google it, because like something as simple as a character was pregnant and the nurse is like, and she goes to the hospital to give birth, and the nurse is like, what did you last eat? And she's like, pineapple. And the nurse is like, are you stupid? And we were like, why did the nurse say that? So we Googled it, and it's like, oh, they thought that like eating pineapple would make you go into fake labor or something in the 60s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But so I looked it up, and, you know, so Buffalo Bill, and I think at one point Hannibal Lecter even says this to Clarice, that Buffalo Bill has tried to find his identity in a lot of things.
Yes.
Like, he has really tried to
say that.
So when they're set designing his house, apparently if you look around, there's a lot of memorabilia and different things from a lot of different groups, religious groups, political groups, neo-Nazi groups, apparently.
Yeah.
And so like that was one of the things they made, though, was a conscious decision of like, we're going to show like this guy has tried to find his identity in so many different things and just doesn't know what it is. Like, he doesn't know who he is. So that's why there's a blanket with swastikas on it in the basement, is because at some point he thought he was going to, you know, find himself in being a Nazi, I guess.
Which makes sense. That makes a lot of sense that, you know, I don't think this is explicitly stated in the movie. I looked it up because I was like, does it go into any detail anywhere why he is the way that he is? And so I was looking it up, and there's not really anywhere where it gives a lot of background, but there's a lot of like kind of inference, and with the character Buffalo Bill, he, like, from what I was reading, he had like bounced from foster home to foster home, and no one really cared about him, and I think his mother was an alcoholic and gave him up when he was 2, and that's a pretty traumatic experience when someone is given up for adoption in any way. Anytime a parent is removed from, or a child is removed from a parent, whether it's for adoption or for, you know, these other, you know, drug abuse or substance abuse, you know, that is traumatizing to the child. And now some people who are adopted they feel unfazed by it. There are others that it very much does affect them deeply. And I know people who've been adopted on kind of either end of the spectrum. And with Buffalo Bill, there was a lot, there's no way there wasn't a lot of abuse that this guy experienced as a kid, right? Like, and Hannibal says that, you know, he wasn't born this way. He was a product of the system.
Yeah.
And this is why we need more support within these systems, because not because everyone who goes through these systems are going to end up like Buffalo Bill, but because if we want kids to turn into functioning adults and contributing members of society, we have to support them as children. So the people who are like, you know, I'm pro-life, be pro-life and do it this way too. Yeah. Anyway, this is becoming more political than I thought it was going to be, but whatever.
That's my fault. That's my fault. The State of the Union is tonight, I think, right?
Is it? Boy, I didn't even know that.
I think it's going on right as we speak.
The State of the Union is bad. That's a good summation. Anyway, going back to this movie. So we see people who grow up in these, and like this is true for everyone. Like, we are all trying to find a group to be a part of. Like, that is normal development. We see this with teenagers and young adults, especially, trying to find any sort of identity that makes sense to them. You know, there's a psychologist, a former psychologist, he named Eric Erickson. Have you heard of him?
Yeah.
Okay, so he had these psychosocial stages of development, and one of them is identity versus role confusion. And if you get stuck in any previous stage of development, then it's really hard to move on to the other one. So like if you get stuck in what is the first one? I gotta pull it up.
I'll say while you're pulling it up, State of the Union is a week from tonight. My bad.
Okay.
Misinformed.
So so there's trust and mistrust, autonomy versus shame and doubt. And so if you experience any sort of mistrust as an infant, and then shame and doubt, and then initiative versus guilt, again, that those build upon each other. And so Buffalo Bill, let me just teach you guys, everyone who's listening, let's just
get out your notebooks,
it's like
everybody.
to be in one of my classes. Just kidding. I haven't taught developmental psychology. I've only taught abnormal, but
that was one of Savannah's favorite classes she took in college. So
I did take developmental in college, both in undergrad, as an undergrad student, and as a grad student. So I know a thing or two. But yeah, so it makes sense that he was trying to find his different identities, which we all do.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in neo-Nazis, but we find it in different things.
We don't try to make a suit of skin, but
Right. Yeah. So just wild, truly.
Yeah.
So
something weird about watching this. So watch this on AMC Plus, and I've got to lobby AMC real quick.
Okay.
Get the real version of the movie. Nothing was cut out of the movie.
Okay.
They showed everything, but it was 100% a version for TV. It faded to black every 10 minutes. The credits were moving at lightning speed and did not have, the credits of this movie are actually infamous. It's like one of the longest shots ever on film is the end of this movie. Because the credits roll over the last shot of the movie with, Hannibal following the doctor that tortured him in whatever country they're in. I don't remember. And it's like a 5-minute long shot.
Yeah, it keeps going.
Yeah. AMC Plus version, black, and those credits are, which is like, this was on TV. This is like something that was on TV. So AMC, get the real damn version of the movie for your streaming service. Like, what the hell is going on? It's fading to black every 10 minutes. It's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous. I didn't know that. I should have brought it up here with me. I didn't bring it. This is one of my Criterion film collections.
Such a good one to have.
It is such a good one to have. I really love the cover art for it because it looks like an ink block, like we would blot, like we'd see in the Rorschach, which is a really cool projective psychological assessment.
Yeah.
That truly is one of the reasons why I want to get my PhD and become a psychologist, because then I could administer that assessment.
Awesome.
And really, that's like one of the top reasons.
So, wait, does that mean that we're going to have like a special episode one day where you administer the Rorschach to me, Walter, and Isaac?
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yeah. When I get my PhD, we'll do that.
Yeah.
We'll do that. And it'll be unofficial. It'll be for fun.
Yeah, for fun.
So
you're not diagnosing us with anything.
No one's being diagnosed with anything.
But if we do it and I like need to get help, you can like text me and tell me.
Sure. I won't say anything as we're recording.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you afterwards and be like, okay, so actually I think we need to have a talk.
Yeah.
We need to have a conversation. Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, but this movie is so good because there's so many different pieces that build upon each other. And talking about the moth, for example, that we see lodged in the throat of one of the victims, and like what that means. And that's also so beautiful when she realizes, oh, I'm in the right house.
Yeah.
Because she sees the moth land on, I think a spool of thread or
Yeah.
something, and that's when it clicks for her. Oh,
Right.
I'm in
Yeah.
Buffalo Bill's
Which
house.
that the sequence where they are getting ready to raid the house,
Whew.
so like just so smart and so good, and just like the best editing choice they could have made.
Yes. Yes. That I remember the first time I watched this movie, my jaw dropped
Yeah.
when it was revealed that the FBI SWAT like team is in the wrong place, and we've got, you know, little tiny Jodie Foster as Clarice
Yeah.
by herself, which she's a badass so she can handle it,
Yeah.
but also what a terrifying. But
Yeah.
again, she knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
She's been trained in this, right? And so even though she's not, what's also crazy to me, what blows my mind when I think about this movie for too long, is that she's not even a full-fledged FBI.
No.
She's still a trainee.
Yeah.
Still like a trainee doing all this stuff. Still
Yeah.
trying to prove herself. And which of course she's a woman in the early 90s trying to become an FBI agent. She's having to work so much harder than her male colleagues and counterparts to prove herself.
Yeah. That,
and it is, yeah.
I read another trivia thing about this movie that the FBI was very complimentary of this movie and its accuracy, except for the fact that Clarice was a student, and they said that would never happen. And then the writers were like, well, maybe. And they were like, it is literally the least likely thing that could possibly happen in the FBI. Like, this would never happen in a million years.
Sure. And I'm sure it is. Like, I'm sure they would never have a trainee just be a part of this very, very high profile case.
Yeah.
And also, the FBI has done crazier things.
That's true. And then if you want to bring the CIA into the mix, they've done even way crazier things.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, just wild.
One of my favorite moments of this movie was I think it's the second time that Clarice goes to meet Hannibal Lecter, and he's doing his thing, and he's like, I don't remember the FBI director's name, but he's like,
it is Jack Crawford.
He's like, does Jack Crawford want to have sex with you? Like,
yeah.
Do you think he has visions of you having sex while you're in his office? And then she goes, that sounds like something Miggs would say. And I was like, damn. Which is the prisoner that threw some bad stuff at her the first time she's there. And then Hannibal somehow kills him, kind of. I don't know.
Yeah, he swallowed his tongue, question mark? Yeah. So somehow it's very much implied that Hannibal had a hand in Miggs his death. And I did think, wow, what a great little like dig at Hannibal Clarice had when she said that sounds like something Miggs would say. Yeah. Because it's very like improper. Like it is not a polite thing to say to really anyone, but especially a woman.
Right.
And we see him he's very frank and forward, but he's also very, very proper in a lot of ways. And so him saying that, and she took her opportunity and because it kind of put him on his heels a little.
For sure. I think that's like just such again, is like another moment where they show really quickly and really easily, like, Clarice like knows like what she's up against in this world of like trying to be in the FBI and like be a woman, and she's ready for it. Another decision I loved in this movie is towards the end, because it would have been really easy to make the ending sequence like, high point of the movie. Emotions and tension are very high when they're in the basement. And it would have been very easy to just make that all kind of more action-packed. But the decision to slow it down and do the night vision stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. It's like,
Yeah.
I was saying to Savannah, I was like, this is so smart. This is so good. And, like, you instantly see, like, oh, there's been other movies that have used this. Like, I instantly thought of the scene. It's either in Insidious 1 or 2. I think it's 2, maybe, where they're like, I don't know if you've seen it, but they're like looking through a gas. They're like looking through a gas mask. It's basically the same shot, just without the night vision. But they're looking through a gas mask. It's like the same thing. It's like you instantly see like this one scene like inspired a lot of different stuff like this because it's just so good, and it was so creepy and weird and like so good.
Yeah. It was so, and it could have been really action packed. It could have been, but I think the tension it builds is so good.
Yeah,
and it slows it down, and you're on the edge of your seat waiting for something to happen. And the last shot between, like, literal shot of the guns between Clarice and Buffalo Bill, it's like you don't know who was shot.
Yeah,
you don't know who shot first, who was hit by a bullet. You don't know until the lights come on and the dust settles, and it's, I mean, you probably can tell Clarice is gonna make it, and that's what you hope for.
Yeah,
and we love seeing the hero triumph.
Yeah,
but I mean, if you don't know, also this movie feels really realistic, and so and as you said, the FBI is like, this is very realistic of what we do, and so it very well could have ended with both of them being shot, her getting shot.
Yeah.
I mean, so you don't really know until the dust is settled and you see the light come in through the little window.
Yeah. Well, and they've already put it in the back of our heads, too, that this is something that could happen to Clarice in the training scene where she doesn't check her corner, you know, and her teacher is like, oh, you didn't check he was like, bang, you're dead. Like, you didn't check your corner and you would be dead now. And so it's like, that's already kind of in that whole scene is always in the back of your head. Like, we've already seen this simulated essentially, and now we might see it for real. There are two things about that scene too. So one of them is something Savannah pointed out that I thought was interesting, and I couldn't find anything about it online, so I'm wondering if it's a choice or not. But when Buffalo Bill dies, he kind of looks like a bug. Like the way he's kind of holding his arms weird and he's kind of stretched weird, and Savannah immediately goes, he looks like a bug. Like and I was like, shit, like I wonder if they did that on purpose. That's so cool. But another thing I read is there's an alternate version of this scene, which I don't know if maybe they wrote it and then on set they decided not to do it this way, so I don't know if they filmed it. But there, at one point, at least in the script, there was a version of this scene where the window does not break, and the ending of that scene is in complete darkness, listening to Buffalo Bill die. Yeah.
That's unnerving.
That's so, and I was like, oh man, that would be. There's a couple of alternate things in this movie though too. Like there's a whole different ending, and there's a whole storyline that got cut too that actually has one little piece that's still in the movie but ended up getting cut. So there was an extra kind of storyline about the FBI director's name. You said it earlier. And
Jack Crawford.
Jack Crawford getting in a lot of trouble because of him getting in a lot of trouble, and Clarice getting pulled off the case because of the whole fake deal fiasco.
Yeah.
And so there's like, that storyline was more fleshed out, and there's when Hannibal says to Clarice when she comes to Memphis to meet him, and he says like, oh, are you here for one last hurrah before you and Jack get torn off, sent wherever? And the cop comes in and he says, I have orders to put you on a plane. That is like from that storyline. Like we don't really see, we don't see any of that, but it was like, I think they said it added like 25 minutes to the movie or something. And so they ended up cutting it out mostly.
Man, I kind of wish they would have kept it.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. This movie is so well made that it is, I believe, it's an hour and 58 minutes. So basically 2 hours. It doesn't feel like it's 2 hours to
No,
me.
not at all.
I mean, if this is not your kind of movie, then it will feel like 2 hours
Yeah.
for sure. But you are very much like dropped into this case and seeing everything that's happening, and you want to know what's happening.
Yeah.
You're kind of just waiting and anticipating all this stuff. And so I would have loved to have seen it. What I want to do, and I haven't done since I got the copy of the Criterion Collection version of this, is there's a commentary, and I want to go back and like watch the movie with the commentary, but I haven't had an opportunity to do that. And so had I had more time, I probably would have done it for this one, but I didn't get the chance. Anyway, so okay, we are at like an hour, but
an hour. I'll give one more fun fact about this. So there is an alternate ending to this movie too. Again, I don't know if they shot it or not, but I know it was written in the script originally. And it was when Dr. Lecter calls Clarice at the end of the movie. He tells her she looked nice in her blue suit today. Mm-hmm. And they like kind of have a similar conversation. And then when he hangs up, camera pulls back and he has the doctor that was tormenting him in Baltimore tied up. And he has the last line of the movie where he says something like, "So what are we going to do today, doctor?" or something like that. And that was the end. Yeah. But they decided to go with the other ending because they said that one felt too dark.
I don't know if it's any darker than how it actually ends. Yeah. So I will say I just remembered like two funny things.
Yeah.
And the scene where Hannibal's talking to the senator whose daughter has been taken.
Yeah.
He's like in the mask, in the crazy, insane looking mask. And he goes, "Senator, by the way, that suit looks like wonderful," or whatever. Like he compliments the suit that she's wearing, and she just, is enraged and just turns and walks away. And I just think it's hilarious that he complimented her outfit.
Yeah.
But also one of the first times I ever saw anything related to this movie, I should have said this at the top of the hour, I don't know why I didn't, is so the scene where he meets Clarice for the first time, and he's talking about the eating someone and the saliva beans or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he goes, like sucks his teeth or whatever. Oh, so the very first time I saw that scene was while I was playing this game called Seen It. Have you ever played Seen It?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I figured you'd probably be about that.
For sure.
So my mom, brother, and I are playing this with some family friends, I don't know, honestly, probably about 20 years ago. And so, I'm 11 or 12 and my brother is 9 or 10. And they show that clip because they're going to ask about that particular clip.
Yeah.
And my brother's sitting on the floor, my mom's sitting on the couch behind him, and after he does that, she like puts her hand on my brother, and he like jumps and like yelps, and he gets really scared, and it's something that we've referenced pretty much ever since. And Thomas, I'm sorry for telling it now, but it was just too good not to share that with other people.
That's so funny.
Because I think about it every time I watch that scene. Anyway.
That's so funny. I wanted to get the quote, so I looked up Silence of the Lambs fava beans, and the first thing that comes up is a Reddit post, and I'm just going to read it verbatim real quick.
Okay.
In Silence of the Lambs, 1991, Hannibal Lecter says, "I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti, whatever. I never understood that. Human liver is too tender for strong red wine. A very good companion would have been a rosé. As a man of culture, Dr. Lecter should have known that."
What an insane, wow, one of the most insane Reddit posts, like, which is really saying something.
Yeah.
So that's so good. Yeah, I mean, truly, I could probably talk about this movie for so long, and I don't want us to go too much further over. But yeah, Walker, final thoughts on this film?
Yeah, I mean, this movie, after watching it last night, I think I put it, when I logged it on Letterboxd, I just said it's a classic for a reason. Like, it's just, it's that good. Like, you watch this movie and you understand why it stood the test of time. And yeah, there's nothing I can think about it that like is there to complain about. Like, I just really, really liked it. Again, for the third time. What about you? Any final thoughts?
We didn't talk about it like I thought we would, so I'm going to talk about it now.
Yeah.
But also the scene where they're in Memphis and he cuts the face off the guy and he puts it on. Of course, it made me think of the episode of The Office where Dwight does that with the CPR dummy. It's genuinely one of my favorite episodes of The Office.
Funny. So
funny. And he's like, he's asked by whoever is like, why would you do that? And he goes, it didn't seem realistic in the movie. Turns out it was. And it's just like, what? What an insane thing to say, but also what a very Dwight thing to say. And so I do think, like, you're right. Like, there's so many things about this movie that has made it stand the test of time and has made it such a cultural phenomenon that we see it referenced almost constantly in shows and movies. It's because it is such a great film, and it's, again, it's one of my favorite films. I think it's so good, and I don't want to wax poetic about it.
Yeah,
but it's. I mean, if it's a movie you haven't seen and you're at all interested in seeing it, go watch it. I will lend you my copy of it, so you don't have to watch it through AMC Plus, where you get the TV cut of it. So it's just so good, and it demands your attention, and you want to give your attention to this film. So I cannot speak highly enough about all of the actors in this film. Anthony Hopkins won an Oscar for his performance, which well deserved. I mean, I don't know how you could consider anything else. This is such a iconic performance and really set the standard with this particular character.
Yeah, it made me just want to watch more movies like it, you know?
Yeah.
And so I wanted to say, if you watch this movie and you want to watch, you know, you're feeling another movie like this. Now, this movie's not as good because there's not that many movies as good, but Savannah and I did watch last year Copycat. It came out in 1995. Okay. Got Sigourney Weaver and Harry Connick Jr. in it. It is another kind of crime thriller movie, and it's fun, and I think it kind of scratches the same itch as this movie. So
okay, all right, yeah. What's funny is I was talking about psychological thrillers with someone at work today, and so I was like, have you seen this one? And they're like, no. And I was like, you gotta watch it. You gotta watch Silence of the Lambs. It's
that's
so good.
That's so crazy. We at the end of all our work meetings, since we work remote, we try to do like water cooler things. So we basically, someone comes up with a prompt and we all answer it, blah, blah, blah. So today's was like, oh, what's something that you've been watching or listening or read recently that you just really enjoyed? And I was like, gosh, I got to pick one thing at this work meeting to talk about. And it was hard. It's hard because A Night of the Seven Kingdoms is so good right now. Loving Mad Men. Still thinking about Hamnet every second of every day. Like, it's a good time to be watching stuff. So, well, Olivia, we did it.
We did it.
We did the episode about Silence of the Lambs. Another Walker and Olivia special.
Great time.
Yeah, but thank you guys for listening. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe on whatever platform you're on, and then go and do it on all the rest of them too. Just for me. Sure, just for me and Olivia. Not for Walter and Isaac, but just for us.
No, screw those guys.
Huge thank you to Walter Lyle for producing this episode. Our art is by Sean Cohen, and our music is by Cord and Jocks. And our next episode is going to be about how to make a killing. And I am taking
Nice.
Walter Lyle to see this movie on Friday. So he will have no excuse to not be on next week's episode. So
Great. Love that. Love that.
Yep. Let's get him on here. Glenn Howerton. I've never seen a Glenn Howerton movie I loved, so I'm hoping this will be the one.
Are you talking about Glenn Howerton or Glenn Powell?
Glenn Powell, whatever. I love Glenn Howerton, actually. Whatever.
All the Glens.
Yeah, there's too many Glens out there. I don't remember anyone's name. I don't know anybody. Who's to say?
Yeah. All right. Well, we will catch you guys on the flippity flip. So I'm trying to play the outro music, but it's not doing anything. Why is it working?
You know,
I had the music turned down. That's why. Let's start that over.
Yeah. False.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah. We did it. I did it.
You did it, Olivia.
I'm the producer now.
You know what? Thank you to Olivia for producing this episode. Let's give it up for Olivia.